Gosh, right off the reel, no, I couldn't give you an example. I will say this, um, because students don't like to hear me sing, like when they do something such as use their cell phone, I always do my imitation of Drake. You know, he used to call me on his cell phone. And they don't like, so that reinforces the thought that you're not supposed to be having your cell phone on in class. So
Attention to what we're going to be learning or talking about that day, and then it really helps the student and the teacher with what is going to be taught.
Okay. Okay. My final question for you is please provide any detail that is important for a potential viewer of your reflections to be able to understand should it be included in our final products.
Okay, so one thing that I could say is don't let the joke be drawn out too long, because if you carry out the joke too long, people are going to be like, okay, I've heard it, I get it. All right, that's enough. But if you keep drawing it out, people are going to not want to learn about it anymore, excuse me. And I think that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming in, man. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Go to the high schools to do visits when I do college fairs and career fairs. The nature of high school students is kind of immature anyway. So I kind of try to meet them where they are so that way they can understand the information better that I'm giving them, because the application process can be strenuous and it can be confusing for a high school student. And so I try to use humor and make them laugh, or I even try to bring the language of the application process down to their level as well, so that way they can better understand it. So sometimes I do have to use the slang words that they use currently, because that's the best way that they understand it.
Excuse me.
Because that's the best way that they understand the information. They don't understand a lot of the collegiate textbook language or verbiage that is being used. So I definitely use their language a lot more with them, so that way they understand it better. And I use a lot more humor to just get them more comfortable with the process and to make them laugh a little bit. They just seem a lot more comfortable that way.
That's good. That's good. I like that. We can move on to question two. I don't have any questions for that one. You really covered that. But can you provide any observations or studies that demonstrate how humor can improve teaching or learning?
I don't necessarily know of any studies, but in my own personal life, whenever I may feel uptight, or whenever I may feel tense, or whenever I may feel stressed out, always seeing something that's funny or laughing, it lightens me up. And so I think from my own personal experience with being in a high-paced job, and sometimes experiencing a lot of stress and overload, because I'm not just an admissions counselor. I'm also a full-time graduate student, and I'm also a full-time intern, and I take care of myself. So those things on top of my job, trying to make sure and ensure that I give each of those things in each of those parts of my life 100%. It does get overwhelming sometimes. So seeing things that are funny every now and then, or just joking and having fun and laughing with my friends, or seeing a funny movie, it always lightens my mood up. And so I can only imagine what that does for others who are in the same situations, or even worse, because a lot of the students that I encounter, especially in the urban areas of Delaware, they are encountering a lifestyle that not many of us are familiar with. Parents who may be on drugs, or the low-income housing, and living in low-income housing, or living in shelters or anything of that sort. So these kids come to school every single day, and one time they do their work, and then they have to also worry about possibly going to work after school to help their mother pay for rent, or to help their mother provide for the family, when they really want to be in the after school activity, having fun with their friends. So that type of stress, you just try to meet people where they are, and make light of the situation, and just help them enjoy life. And I think definitely laughter does that for them.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Question three. Can you give me a specific example of a topic you teach and the time, humor, study, joke, or media, which is, picture, cartoon, video, you have used to teach it?
Yeah, so I think my first time.
Either your teaching or your students learning of that content.
Um, that's a yes and no kind of question, honestly, because yes, it can improve them, but also it can kind of distract them as well. Because if you don't understand, if you don't set the tone that, hey, this is important, yeah, we can have our laughs here and there, but you need to understand that, yeah, we can laugh, but you need to understand what's going on right here as well. You need to understand the material that's being told you. Even though it's all fun and games sometimes. It's all good to have fun, but you're here to learn. So you need to make sure you're getting the message that's being brought to you.
Then you give me an exact example of each of a good reason for yes and a reason for no. Just to elaborate.
So let's say for example, we go back with the dinner etiquette. Yeah, it's it's fun to laugh at other people, but if you aren't really paying attention to the do's instead of the don'ts, and just focus on the don'ts, you're not really getting anything out of it. You're just laughing at people messing up on dates instead of actually learning how you should be on a business date or a business dinner. Or
pretty well.
Absolutely. Like I said, sometimes it's hard to understand when I'm trying to use big words and be professional all the time. I think that when you can break it down to a level that they understand and be relatable, I think that helps a lot.
Okay. My final question for you would be, please provide any detail that is important for a potential viewer of your reflections to be able to understand. Should it be included in our final products?
Yes, I think that appropriate humor,
kind of fun workshops. But the one workshop that I love to teach with them and work with them on is the anti-hazing one. But the thing about the anti-hazing one is it's so stern in its message that sometimes it may come off to students as if I don't want to really sit down and listen to this because I'm not doing it. However, it's something that needs to get done. So what I normally like to do with them is turn it into something funny. Pretty much, if we're talking about anti-hazing, point out different ways it may be done in a classroom that they would think is funny. Most of my students will be like, I'll be like, hey, what do you think hazing is? They'll be like, having to do a paper and getting it done the next day. And then I'll be like, well, is that hazing or is that procrastination? Because that sounds like procrastination. Now I make everybody laugh. And they'll be like, no, it's not procrastination. What I'm saying is I work better under pressure. But being under pressure, it doesn't work. So if you can see, you just got to make a joke out of something, make a joke out of something serious, so that way they can relate to it better and they can more so understand the more importance behind it, and they can get the bigger story behind why I related it the way I related it, so that they can see what I'm trying to get them to understand.
Okay. During your anti-hazing programs, have you ever tried to have a picture of a parent beating a kid?
No, but you know what? I think I'm gonna try that next time. That's pretty funny. I like that.
That'd be hilarious. My next question for you is: do you believe that teaching this topic with the humorous content improves either your teaching or your students' learning of that content?
Definitely. When I was an undergrad, my major was middle school education. One thing I did learn about it is most students in middle school, at least, they learn the most information in the first 10 minutes of the class. First 10 minutes of class, last 10 minutes of class. Why? First 10 minutes of class, you're just getting it. You're still up. Last 10 minutes of class, you're getting excited because you're about to be out. And what I've learned dealing with, college students on this side of the of higher education, student affairs and Greek life and just student leadership life is you gotta kind of look at them the same way, not in the aspect of the age, but the aspect of the learning styles. All right, because most of the time the majority of the work we do is volunteer for students. It's optional. They don't have to run for SG if they don't want to. They don't have to run for the royal court like you did if they don't want to. They don't have to become Greek if they don't want to. And sometimes when they do it, to them, okay, I did it, that's it. But no, there's more to it. So what I've seen is that the more exciting you make, a workshop or a retreat, the more of a response you're gonna get for for example, my Greek population to come out to it. I can say it's mandatory, but at the end of the day, you are grown in your sense, and we're trying to get you prepared for the real world. Okay. So I can tell you it's mandatory, but it's still up to you to come. And what I've learned is by making things a lot more humorous, a lot more interactive, a lot more fun, I'm not pulling teeth to get them to come to it. Yeah. It's more so, all right, I'll be there because I had fun the last time. Okay. For example, my last Greek retreat, for a team building, we took them to the escape room. It actually turned into a very humorous thing because you would be surprised how college students could not answer these riddles that were just like, Very difficult, and I couldn't even answer them myself. So it was pretty funny. Like, oh, are we really in college? Or like, I have a degree, and I'm just like, I can't help you guys. And they're like, come on, man, I don't even know either. So that was fun to know.
Yeah.
You know, at first they were complaining about it, but afterwards they were like, I'm glad I did this. This was pretty fun.
Absolutely.
I laughed a lot, had fun with it.
Okay, I like that. My final question is, please provide any detail that is important. Okay,
Yeah. Popular slogans I've used. I've used like dances, dance around a little bit. I play songs sometimes.
So elaborate, for us.
Oh,
Maybe a specific time where you had to teach something to the students, and you, in order to engage it with them, you use something from a meme or something from today's generation of music, or something like that to bring it together.
well, I never used it to help the lesson. But what I've done is like to open up the class, to get the energy going. I'll play a little music that they're familiar with at the beginning of the class. Maybe like, oh, watch me whip, watch me nay nay, as they're walking in, they're sitting down in their seats, and then boom, after that, turn the music off, get right into it, get the blood flowing, get the energy going, and then.
And they found that pretty humorous.
Yeah,
fun.
I mean, they found it like, oh, why is the teacher? Why he a grown man? How he know about this? Like, I ain't that much older than y'all, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, got the blood pumping. Okay, got right into it.
Pretty cool. Number 4, do you believe that learning this topic with this humorous content improves either your teaching or your students' learning of that content?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, it makes them more susceptible to what you're trying to teach. Helps you hit home faster. If they feel like they're just being taught by a robot, or somebody that's just monotone, doesn't have any dynamics to them, it's not gonna hit home, and they're gonna tune you out. So once you get there with it, then yeah.
Can you relate back to when you used to go to Emilyville Elementary, like how your teachers would kind of lighten up the mood for you guys? What kind of humor did they use?
Oh, well, I had a teacher. His name was Mr. Powell. His style of comedy was a little harsh. He used to crack on the kids. I don't know, make jokes about their shoes or their clothes or whatever. But at the same time, we grew to love and understand what he was doing, because he actually cared about us. At the end of the day, he would bring it back after cracking on us, let him know, like, what I'm saying, how's everything going at home, or whatever, and show us that he really cared. So his style of comedy was a little weird, but we understood it, and we found it funny after a little while.
So you felt like him basically using that comedy helped improve your learning because you felt more comfortable and safe with talking to him about stuff.
Because we could joke right back on him, and then he was cool with it. It wasn't like, oh, you're getting written up, you're going to the principal's office for joking back on me. So once you have that type of sense of comfortability with somebody, then boom.
Yeah, okay. My final question for you is, please provide any detail that is important for potential viewers please provide any detail that is important for a potential viewer of your reflections to be able to understand, should it be included in our final products. So what reflections to your potential viewers, could you what kind of advice could you give to them? And do you feel like the advice that you're giving is good enough for the final cut, for people to see this?
Well, yeah, pretty much let them know you're down to earth in any way you can. If humor is not your thing, then, try to do something that's fun, something that will lighten up the mood. But humor is probably the easiest way. I know there is a real popular video going around with a teacher he had a specific handshake with all the students, even something like that. But something that lets them know that I'm not a robot, I have dynamics in me, you know what I'm saying, and something that gets the energy going, and it makes them feel closer to you. Once they feel closer to you, once they feel comfortable with you, what you're teaching will hit home faster. So yeah, definitely, up the sense of how comfortable they are with you, and you'll be able to educate them better. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate your
problem.
time. As Men's Council Correspondent Secretary, use anything, to lighten up the mood, whether it's cartoon media, videos, social media, just to lighten the mood.
Yes, I did. I used Chris Brown and Soulja Boy, for instance, because it's a social media beef between the two. I use my teaching in regards to that because there's a lot of social media is very influencive. So like Chris Brown and Soulja Boy are not two boxers. They don't fight.
Yeah.
So they're artists. They don't do that. So where I'm going with this is they can teach the youth, like, don't be something that you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a joke. I take that as a joke. So basically pulling that up and trying to show that to the young brothers is like, don't be like this.
Yeah.
Just try to be yourself. Don't try to step outside of the box when it comes to stuff like that.
So basically, your program was basically about people not being who they're not. So you use Chris Brown and Soulja Boy as the humor, made them laugh and lighten the mood, and showed them like, okay, they're supposed to be singers and rappers. Why are they doing this?
Yes.
Okay, I like that. That's dope. Question number 4: do you believe that teaching this topic with this humorous content improves either